Now let's explore doing color correction and doing color match on a LumenDimPix. So quick recap, the LumenDimPix is our equivalent of the DMX-Pix, but it links to a Lumen Radio CRMX transmitter. An excellent system. There are all kinds of reasons where you might want to use CRMX, and that's why RC4 Wireless makes products that are compatible with them. And we have a transmitter also, which is what we're running for this demo. That is the LumenDimIO. That is our Lumen Radio compatible transmitter. And I'm linked to a LumenDimPix over here that has two different pixel strings attached that are intentionally different manufacturers, different chip types, so internally their structure and their data protocols are not the same. And this one is a vivid RGB strip that is based on the WS2812 chip and data protocol. And this one is an Adafruit dot star, so it's based on the APA 102 chip and protocol. I have already set up a very simple RC4 pixel profile, custom pixel profile, that gives me a block of LEDs controlled together. So that makes it easier to see for doing a white correction or white balance. So here is red, blue, and green. Let's take a moment and do color order on that. There's a previous demo that illustrates exactly how that works. But now we have very quickly with OneTouch also change that to be red, green, and blue. And now let's look at the dot star. Also not what we want in color order, so let's quickly change that. We want it to start with red. This might be the wrong order still. Red, blue, so we want the next red. That's the first red. That's the second red. Now that is red, green, blue. Now we have the right color order, and we can bring up the whites. Okay, these are not the same whites. So the vivid has a bit of a greenish tinge to it, and the dot star has kind of a bluish, purplish tinge to it. So on our console, really easy to understand what we're doing here. We're playing with the ratios of red, green, and blue to make the whites look like we want them to look. So let's start with the vivid. Here, we'll pull them both out. And here's some red and green and blue, and there's just, if I pull the green back, see, look at that, a little less green, and I get a much more neutral looking shade. And now let's go to the other one. This one I definitely need to pull the blue out, and there, just a little bit of blue out. I'm going to go back to the dot star. This now, you could tinker with this for a long time, but I think those are already looking pretty similar. So there, we've now just neutralized them and made them much more pleasant to see, especially if they were side by side on the same piece. So by saving these ratios now in the LumenDimPix as the color correction values, we know that later when we do our lighting design, a full-on white will be this. So we could put them on the same channels, go to full-on and they'll look the same. We can incorporate our chases, not thinking about also trying to compensate and adjust for differences in color. So the way we save these offsets is a long press of the set button associated with the channel the string's plugged into. So let's do them one at a time. I will long press set A, push the button and hold it for several seconds until we see it jump. And there, we now are seeing the values that are on the console color corrected. And likewise, we'll do it on the blue. Long press hold, wait till we see it jump. There we go. And now, if all of that is done correctly, yes, when we pull our levels up to max, we now have our corrected white. So I can move my grandmaster up and down, and we get that neutral white on both strings. We basically just made them much more the same. And it really helps all the way around the color wheel. So we've got all of our mixes here. This is our two together. You know, see, when we're mixing the primaries, we're also getting much closer than we would have gotten before we did that. So all done with a small tool, only a console, no special software, no special controllers. You've actually seen me get the color order in the right sequence to be red, green, and blue, and fix the white. Really easy. That's the LumenDimPix RC4. It's the pixel controller that works with Lumen Radio CRMX. It's great.